Welcome to the X Block.
Am I right, Marine? Sir, yes, sir! Then listen up.
You're listening to the X Block. I'm Jared, he's Caleb. Let's get into it.
You are listening to the X Block episode 6. I'm Jaren and I'm here with Caleb.
Ew.
And you are listening to the world's #1 Xbox podcast.
Probably.
Yeah, that's a important
Trademark.
probably.
Copyright. Can't steal that. We stole that from somebody.
Yeah, but we put a probably after it, so it's fair.
Yeah, I mean, as far as anyone knows, we're definitely the #1 Xbox podcast. Like, I don't know, there's like a few Xbox podcasts out there, but Larry Herb, dude, second to us. We're the actual official Xbox podcast, man.
Yeah, I know we don't have that many views, but when Larry's thinking about covering a topic, that's how we know him. We know him first name basis. I call him Big Lair.
Yeah, I know Big Lair. I know what you're talking about, yeah. We have over 100, plays, though. We're like at 170 or some odd plays, though. Not bad.
It's true. Larry texts me to ask about what news he's going to put on his show.
Yeah. Sometimes I text you about the news we need to put on this show.
That's fair. Both you and Larry always texted me. I can't get rid of you guys.
Yeah, I'm probably pretty annoying, dude. I text you like fucking 5 times a day. Like, have you seen this yet? And you're like, yeah, I saw it. Shut up. And I'm like, all right, I'll text you in an hour.
So what have you been playing this week, Caleb, as we get out of our random talk about Larry Herb and other podcasts?
No, you know what, dude? Real quick before that, you thought I forgot. I didn't forget. I didn't forget, dude. You edited me out of the FAF last week when you had a typo in the FAF and it was supposed to say "we're this" and instead it said "were," like with no apostrophe, and then you edited me out, and then it made me sound like I was saying "were" something or other, and I sounded dumb. And no one cares, but I care, Jaron. I care, and I remembered. So I'm gonna throw that out in the beginning.
I'm gonna edit you out again.
Please don't do that. Don't keep editing me out. You said I could veto things.
And then I'm going to make a compilation of all of the times I edited you out and put it out as a TikTok.
No, don't do it. No. In terms of what I've been playing, something I mispronounced, The Murder on Eridanos, Outer Worlds DLC. I think I pronounced it Eradnus last week, and that's because I think Eradnus 2 is like the planet or moon that the Master Chief was born on. And my idiot brain just defaulted to that because it sounds almost kind of the same. But I've been playing Murder on Eridanos, Outer Worlds, and that DLC, pretty fun. Few complaints with it. The story's good, but the environment is kind of samey. The area you're in, you're on like a floating city in like a gas giant.
Dude, I'm a gas giant.
I know you are. And yeah, so, you wander around there and there's like a few separate islands kind of connected by bridges, and there's like a lot of walking, and it's really fun. I don't want to spoil it because it's new, but the story is really good, and I completed the game, so now I have the Outer Worlds completed, all the main game, the Perils of Gorgon, or Gorgon, I don't know, and then the Murder on Eridanos. And story's really good, ends really good. Very happy with that game. Other than that, let me see here. Oh yeah, I got a few achievements in Dead Island Definitive Edition, which I played like 5 years ago, but like I found some Boys on True achievements to get some of the multiplayer shit in. And now my gamer score has an odd number. It doesn't end in a 5 or a 0 right now, so I want to kill myself.
By your logic, that means you're a bitch.
I mean, I am, and you're right, but I gotta fix that, but I gotta get a few more achievements in that game, so probably with like in a week or two, I'll fix it.
I feel left out, so I'm going to change mine to a 1 coming up in the next couple days.
I hate the fucking, if your gamer score doesn't end in a 5 or 0, just get fucked, and right now that's me. But yeah, I've been playing that, and then Saints Row the Third Remastered with you, and then Dirt 5, which you and I will review later on in our Game Pass or gameplay segment. But I know, I would ask what you've been playing, Jerem, but besides Saints Row the Third with me, I know you've been playing The Outer Worlds. What do you think about that?
How do you know?
Because we talked about it, and I see you on Xbox. It says you're playing The Outer Worlds. You were on the Perils of Gorgon. You said last week you were going to start it.
See, this just proves that Caleb's always watching my every move so that he knows what to play next.
Shut up, dude. You texted me not 2 hours after my gamer score had an odd number. You said, why is your gamer score into an odd number? I'm like, how did you notice?
Because
already?
It's in the achievement hunter, the achievement leaderboard thing that I'm always at the top of. I saw that you were a weird number away from me.
What do you think? Oh, I let you be on top of that. That's totally by design. If I wanted to be on top, I would. But what do you think of the Outer Worlds, the DLC, the expansions?
The first one?
Yeah, well, whatever you've been playing, man.
The first one I enjoyed. It was The story was a little kind of too long for me for a DLC, but I did like enjoy the content. I just felt like it dragged on at some points. But the second DLC I thought was rock solid.
Okay. The first DLC, the story's not as good, and it has a bit of reading. I think like a lot of reading for like the exposition.
A lot of reading.
But I think the environment's better in the Perils of Gorgon than in the Murder on Eridanos. So
yeah, there's more like, I guess, different things to see, but like the main game already feels like a mix between Fallout and Borderlands. That Perils of Gorgon DLC map feels exactly like Borderlands.
Yeah, it really does. I enjoyed it though. I enjoyed both of the expansions. They're pretty
good. My first one, I'd say 7 out of 10. Second one, 8.5 out of 10.
Yeah, I would say I agree with that. It's pretty solid. Pretty solid thoughts on that. And Dirt 5, I know you played that, or you finished. I guess you finished that a while ago, didn't you?
Yeah, I finished it the first week of us getting it in the wheel.
For some reason, I was thinking, Jaren, you've been playing that recently, but that's just because I've been playing it so much. And yeah, we'll get to that later. But
you've been chasing my ghost or something, like Forza?
Do they have ghosts in there? I haven't noticed any.
No, they don't.
Okay, I was gonna say I don't think they have that feature.
The other thing I've been playing is I went on my second profile because I've determined that any game that has more than a 10,000 or it's either a 10,000 like true achievement score that I really want to play, or just a game that I want to try out, I'm gonna play on my second profile.
Gears Tactics, is that what I'm about to hear?
No, I haven't started Gears Tactics, but that is where I set my like 10,000 limit.
Man, you're really serious about this, huh?
I started playing what was it called? Star Wars Squadrons.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah. I gave my characters some like variations because you get to like create your character at the very start of the game. The game's all right. They have a really weird thing in it where their cutscenes that they have in the game, it's like they're pre-rendered, so they're the only thing. I was like, yo, I'm gonna enjoy this Star Wars game because I like on my fancy new TV, like the space is gonna be black. In the cutscenes, the space looks like it's on an LED TV. Like for some reason, they rendered the cutscenes without using like actual black.
Yeah, I think they did that with the cutscenes in Battlefront 2, the new Battlefront 2 game. They also look really like white and washed.
Yeah, so I don't know what that was, but once you get into the game, it does look good. I went through the character creator and I made a blue Imperial guy, and I made just a normal like what are they, the Rebellion guy.
Yeah, you're not a huge Star Wars fan, right?
No, not really. And I named them after like Star Wars people, but I gave them like different names. So I named my blue guy, I spelt it like Ray from the Star Wars movies, and I named him Ray Romano.
Oh, okay. All right.
And then I named my other guy Jar Jar Blinks.
Okay, I thought you were gonna name the other one Rey Mysterio.
No, he's Jar Jar Blinks because he blinks into hyperspeed.
All right, yeah, all right. So I don't know much about the game other than that people who play it seem to like it. Is it fun? Have you beat it? Is there a I assume there's a campaign story.
I've only played the first mission and a half, and so far it's not bad. It's not traditionally the kind of game that I play, but I figured I might as well try some flight kind of games while I wait for Flight Simulator.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, Flight Simulator is going to be a real experience once that finally hits the Series X. Excited for that. But yeah, Squadrons, that's cool. I know you were playing that. Your new rule that you're just going to not put over 10,000 true achievement score games on your main profile. Like, as from my perspective, I'm like, okay, I see that. But from like knowing you and how much you make fun of me and other things, I'm like, wow, Jared, all right, you're really serious about this, huh? With you make fun of me sometimes maybe for having a clean list, but you're out here just being like, not putting Gears Tactics on my profile.
It's mostly because I wanted to play it, but every single time I load it up or I go to press it, I look at the achievements and I'm like, I don't want to get those. So
no, I'm with.
It's more for that reason. If there was a game that had 16,000 that I actually wanted to get the achievements for, then I'd put it in. And I'm mostly using my second profile for games that I'm not sure if I'm going to play all of them. Like I threw Star Wars Squadrons on there because I was like, I could play like all of this, or I could play an hour of it and be like, cool, that was cool, and then just not play it again.
Yeah, you're just gonna try it out. I see.
Yeah.
No one else listening to this gives a fuck about like putting games or shit on your profile like that. They're like, wow, this is some real nerd shit they got going on here.
Yeah, we immediately lost all the women that were listening.
Oh yeah, 100%, which is somehow like, 25% of our audience according to our metrics.
I think that happened as soon as you said that why you confused Eridanos for the other thing. I think that's when they left.
That's definitely when they all dropped out. Like, nah, I'm off. I'm good. My stop's here. I'm gone.
All right, well, we might as well hop into Outside the Box.
thinking now.
Outside the box.
Where we cover all the news you need to know outside the Xbox community. Our first topic in Outside the Box, E3 proves they are as clueless as we thought they were.
I thought they were pretty clueless to begin with. So, this is real news breaking here.
Well, Caleb, you know how back when we talked about how they were like, oh, we're going to do a bit of a digital show, we're going to do a bit of a physical show, and they were waving that around, and then they decided, never mind, just digital show.
Yeah, they did say that.
Well, now they've been floating ideas to publishers. They've sent them like a couple proposals, and apparently one of them had a bunch of content behind a paywall.
Yeah, I saw this. This was originally reported by the Video Games Chronicle, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so do you want to give like a quick rundown of this story or kind of the important beats or whatever?
Essentially, multiple publishing sources told VGC this month that the event organizer had pitched plans to charge a fee for some of 2021's planned content, such as on-demand game demos or a premium package with extra access. One source suggested that the premium package had been pitched to publishers at $35.
35.
I would have rather gone to the live event, gotten COVID, and then set myself on fire than pay the ESA $35.
Yeah, that's same, literally.
But luckily, however, in a statement issued after the publication of VGC's story, the ESA provided additional comment denying it would charge for E3 content. I imagine they went on their Twitter and were like, what the fuck happened?
Yeah, Andy Robinson, who's the editor-in-chief at VGC, he was talking about it. He was pretty upset because they reported that, the E3 was going to have these or was not saying that they were going to have these paid parts of the experience or whatever this year, and they reached out to them and other things, and they didn't wholly deny it or anything, and then they published the story, and then afterwards they were being dicks about it on Twitter, the E3 or ESA or whatever put this thing out on Twitter where I don't remember specifically what it said, but basically they were they were as some news outlets would have you believe or some bullshit, I don't remember. And Andy Robinson was like, bitch, you guys straight up, we have sources that say that you were considering this at the least, proposing this as a potential idea. And now you came out because we published a story and you're like, nah.
Yeah, apparently one major games company, they don't say who, spoke to expressed criticism of the paywall plans.
Yeah, so this story kind of came out and that was that's crazy they were thinking about charging for this parts of this event or whatever.
And speaking of things that VGC has broken the news on this week, Call of Duty hates game journalists. Well, at least we agree on some of that, but they did their execution of getting this topic out there in a very sloppy way.
Okay. All right. Well, what is the Call of Duty news this week, and why isn't it in the duty department?
In this case, they made it. They made it to the big stage. After last week, they were here talking about their next game. Well, this week, they are here because they went after gaming media sites and struck down their tweets they made, and I believe they got VGC's Twitter account suspended for a bit using copyright law because of leaked footage of the new 1980s-inspired update for Verdansk, the Warzone map in Call of Duty.
Yeah, they leaked some of this new upcoming Warzone shit over there at the VGC or whatever, and for some reason, both Andy Robinson, who's the editor-in-chief there, a lot of the news somehow pertains to fucking Video Games Chronicle this week, which we like as a website, but now they're actually fucking real news happening with them. And anyway, that happened, and there was a DMCA strike against their account, I guess, of their actual publishing outlet on Twitter, and they got taken down for a bit, and then I guess Andy Robinson came out in a tweet thread afterwards or something, was like, we talked to Activision about this, and apparently they resolved it in some way that he was satisfied with. I don't know what happened, but he said, I guess there were third parties that Activision has that looks for this kind of shit and actually issued a DMCA, but I don't know if Activision themselves actually were responsible, directly. And it got resolved, apparently, in a way that they're satisfied with. But yeah, they actually DMCA'd some fucking news outlets for talking about the new Warzone, shit coming out. Shit's crazy.
See, and this is a thing that I just wanted to touch on quickly because it's happened a lot in the past, but not to big news outlets. There's YouTube channels that fully talk about Red Dead Redemption 2 content and or GTA content or Rockstar content, and when they're talking positively, about stuff that's coming out and that kind of thing, then Rockstar's totally fine with it. But Rockstar has like copyrighted channels who talk negatively about leaks and things that are coming out and like gotten their whole channels taken away. So this is something that the gaming industry does do. And we only really hear about it when it hits big news outlets. Like, I'm not talking about like people who actively like went and posted this footage and leaked the footage. Like, obviously that's going to get you DMCA'd if you're leaking the actual footage. But lots of times people just talk about it and they might have a screenshot, and then Rockstar or these big companies will use that as an entire thing that they can just blanket their entire channel and take it down for copyright.
Yeah. In this case, yeah, Andy Robinson said, like, he came out and said, like, I've never had this happen to me before. And he's been writing about games for a long time at like a different outlet before VGC and other things. He's like, yeah, I've never had anything like this happen. Shit's crazy. But you're right, it does happen, I guess, in smaller ways on YouTube to other people. Nintendo, I think, is pretty notorious with that as well.
Yeah. And that's like, I'm even like not even talking about violating, like showing gameplay. I just mean people covering the news, and then they get copyright striked for covering the news. Like, you're allowed to cover the news.
You and I don't care about Call of Duty too much, or Call of Duty news. A lot of people do. It's pretty big, but you and I usually have better things to worry about. But I guess this is kind of important to put in the main news. It was a big news story this week.
Yeah, if you'd like to hear more about it, come to the FAF later.
Yeah, we'll be there.
Another game that you can usually find in the FAF, CDPR couldn't make one game, so now they'll make 2 or maybe 3. Who knows?
And what is the news?
CD Projekt Red has separated the way they work on games now. Instead of making all one game at once, they're going to separate their teams and go on a hiring spree and get a bunch of people so they can make Cyberpunk content and make Witcher content at the same time. And they've also bought in a studio in, I believe it is Vancouver, and turned that into an arm of CD Projekt Red.
So for those who don't know about this news, yeah, it's reported by like GameIndustry.biz and IGN, but basically CD Projekt Red is splitting their team in 2, and then there's also like their internal team at in Poland, as well as, and then they also have whatever arm Jaren said in Vancouver. So they're splitting their team and hiring more people and working on multiple games at once now, so that they don't release games like 6 years apart or whatever the hell whatever their release cycle was before. So, and that they can do that clearly because they made all their money back on Cyberpunk already. And so, like, while, you know, like, they got taken off the PlayStation Store and all these other things, it's like, dude, they made so much money on that game already. Like, it covered their development costs, their marketing costs, their stock went down, but, and like, people got, I assume, fired over there and everything, but, like, dude, they made their money as a company. So they're just like, dude, we're upscaling off fucking full steam ahead. We're gonna make 2 games at once. And then in an article which IGN titled, CD Projekt promises not to confuse anyone again, then confuses everyone again. They talked about how they canned the multiplayer.
That's like a Jaren article name.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. I'm glad they're writing that way. Kotaku tries to be cheeky sometimes, but they're really lame at it, if I'm being honest. But IGN out there doing the Lord's work. IGN was like, yeah, they decided to, they said they were going to stop working on the Cyberpunk multiplayer, but they didn't really say it was canned, and they're like, it's not releasing this year. We said we were going to work on it. No one even knows if it was going to be attached to the main game or released as a standalone in the same vein as Red Dead Online recently was, and GTA 5's online and shit. And they're like, yeah, well, now we're just going to work on having multiplayer functionality in all of our games now. Like any Witcher game that comes out, all of our RPGs coming out in the future. I think Cyberpunk 2, they're like, yeah, everything's going to have multiplayer component now. And everybody's like, but does that mean the Cyberpunk multiplayer is canned or not? Why is it delayed? All these other things. Like, oh, we're just working on shit. No one knows. No one knows what they're doing over there. They made their money. They split their studio. They're upscaling, hiring more people, making shit. And no one knows what.
Yeah, if you guys want to reach out to us for comment and tell us what you're doing. If I know you ignored IGN and everything, but they might not even hear it if you comment here, so we just love to know.
Yeah, and anyway, they're working on The Witcher 4, clearly, and whatever, they say they're working on Cyberpunk, but are they really, you know? But yeah, but we know that they're working on that shit, but we don't know, like, what they mean by this multiplayer nonsense and how they're gonna work on 2 games at once when they couldn't manage one game and all this shit. It's just...
it's a clusterfuck.
Yeah, and it's a lot. I mean, CD Projekt Red has been so much in the news, you know, as of the last few months, but this is another thing.
Yeah, they got hit harder by just themselves than even COVID hit them.
Yeah, pretty much. They made their money though. Like that's what we get from this. Like they're dividing their studio, upscaling, like hiring more and reaching out to Vancouver, and they got money. They don't care.
Welcome to the land of the free.
Yeah, so to Jaren's land of Canada.
You got lots of trees where you're going.
Yeah. So good luck with whatever the fuck you work on. I'll play your game once it has the next gen patches in 5 years, and I'll play The Witcher when it comes out. I'll replay The Witcher 3 when it gets its next gen patch, which they said is coming out like the end of this year, second half of this year.
Yeah, sometime the end of this year.
Yeah, I'll do my Death March run on that game whenever that comes out. But yeah, good luck.
Yep, good luck, guys. We're pulling for you. I hope your games are good because I really enjoyed The Witcher 3.
Yeah, you never fucked me. CDPR. Jaren bought the game and liked it, got all the achievements, and I just didn't buy it yet. So you've yet to fuck me.
There you go. We are unfuckable by CDPR so far.
It's gonna go in our bio.
Jaren Kerr, unfuckable.
CDPR didn't fuck me, dude.
Next up in the FAF, Nexon invests $900 million in overlooked companies, Konami, Sega, and Namco Bandai.
A lot of money.
So what I wanted to talk about this news story, because we could have just thrown this in the FAF, but what I wanted to just give our kind of thoughts on is, does this mean, do we think that Sega and Konami are off the market now when it comes to companies like Microsoft or I guess Sony if they decided to spend a quarter of their... well, not a quarter, but like most of their revenue for this year on an acquisition.
Real quick, just to kind of go into what the news is. Like Jaren said, Nexon is a South Korean company, I believe. They're like one of the largest South Korean gaming companies. They invested $900 million total across a lot of Asian gaming companies like Bandai Namco, Sega, Konami, and basically pumped a lot of money in with apparently what they say are non-hostile intentions, like they don't plan to buy or have a hostile takeover of any of these companies. They're just literally infusing capital to like see returns, and because they think that they release like IP stably, consistently. And so we're happy about that because it's not fucking Tencent. So it's an actual like South Korean company, not some Chinese communist money getting put into these places. But to answer your question more directly, Jared, it's like they infuse a lot of money, so it makes it a little harder to buy any of these, like Sega now, like Microsoft buying Sega, because they're more and less in need of capital infusion or anything, because they just got a lot of capital infusion from these people. But they could still buy them, just depends on the price. But more likely this year. I don't know if they'll be buying Sega this year. I don't even know how much, and I don't know enough about corporate acquisitions. We'd have to like watch a Richard Hogue video, who may put up a video about this. For those of you who don't know, Richard Hogue, corporate lawyer, has a YouTube channel called Hogue Law, where he talks about a lot of these kind of acquisition related and any legal related gaming news shit on his channel. So I recommend you guys check him out. HOEG, I believe, Law is the YouTube channel. And he'll probably do something on this that I gotta watch because I'm a little more of a layman. But I assume this makes it slightly less likely that they would be purchased, but I think it depends on how much they're offering to purchase them. But they have more capital infusion now, so that's good for them.
Yeah, just hopefully it means that we get some better games or, a game out of Konami.
I don't think Capcom was in any of this, because I was going to say, we know every game that Capcom's releasing for like the next 4 years based on that leak that happened like a few months ago.
It's like how we know every game Square Enix is releasing for 15 years because they announced them 10 years before they come out.
Good one. You're so right, though. And I guess when we look at this, though, like Konami, we can just expect them to not release a game, so that's going to be cool when that never comes out. And then Bandai Namco, they make great games. I can't say anything bad about it.
Konami's just taking the 400 of that million and just being like, haha, we're going to the bank with this.
They really are, dude. They don't put out shit.
And the last topic of Outside the Box, it's a quick Battlefield update. And essentially how we talked about all those things that Battlefield was doing to come for your money on the last episode by adding it or by testing all of those microtransaction heavy kind of battle pass kind of stuff. Well, this is actually...
Go check out that episode.
Yeah.
If you don't know what we're talking about.
If you haven't listened to that episode, go and check out. It's episode 5. Indies Are Among Us.
Great name.
Yeah, if you want to find out more about that story. But in this story, we've kind of got more positive news. Battlefield 6 will reportedly feature a revamped campaign and multiplayer perks, so they're going more of the Call of Duty route, but the more important thing is the campaign will be playable in co-op, at least important to Caleb and I.
Yeah, bit of a quick one. Battlefield 6 coming out this year. According to all the reporting, they're pretty ahead of schedule on development, so there shouldn't be any delays, and it should be pretty good in terms of what they release. Should work, but fucking fingers crossed, we'll see. Nothing works nowadays. But yeah, the multiplayer, the campaign, or the game in general, is supposed to be set 10 years in the future, so like pseudo, futuristic with like drones and bots and things, but not super in the future.
Yeah.
And so Battlefield 6 is going to have, theoretically, people are reporting, based on this one guy who has leaked and like has rumors about others. He's like a rumor guy, but he's been corroborated a lot in the past by like various even like mainstream news outlets who say like, yeah, this guy's legit and he knows what he's talking about. He's like, yeah, they're gonna have a co-op campaign, and they're gonna have in the multiplayer, they're revamping it a bit, and they're gonna have perks just like or to a degree like in Call of Duty. So there's gonna be like 4 classes, which I think is pretty usual for Battlefield. But with some classes like Assault, you may have like you can make your footsteps quieter or some shit. And there are other ones where they're different. Basically Call of Duty. If any of you play Call of Duty, yeah, like Call of Duty perks. Which is interesting, and we'll see if they implement any of that other shit that we talked about in our last episode, which you guys can listen to. It's like fucking hour and 40 minutes long. It's one of our longest. I think it's our longest episode. But there's a lot of news in there. Yeah, this one is going to be shorter, and Jared and I shoot for an hour to like an hour and a half with these. But last week's had so much news. Anyway, Battlefield 6, Jared and I are looking forward to it much more now because it's in co-op.
Moving on from outside the box, finishing up there, and rushing quickly into the review roundup.
It's one of my favorite segments when we have it, Jared.
In a world where reviews are too long to read and review videos are too long to watch, one man will compile all of the reviews and turn them into one easily digestible stream of information. This is the Review Roundup.
And on this week's implementation of the review roundup, we have Outriders, and it is out, and it sounds solid, apparently.
Tell me about that, Jared. Tell me, because I haven't really looked into the reviews for this or anything, so I want you to give me, just like the audience, I want you to give me the what's up on Outriders.
All right. Obviously, we all know at this point, we've talked about it many weeks in a row. Third-person looter shooter, similar to Destiny, has special abilities and that kind of stuff. You can take cover, it's third-person. Lots of people are saying it's somewhat difficult. You have to mix kind of your abilities with how you attack and all that kind of stuff to stay successful. Obviously, we don't have many like fully finished reviews on this because recently outlets haven't been giving full reviews on games that are supposed to have like extended multiplayer life cycles because they find that like it's not an accurate representation. Like lots of times Call of Duty used to come out, they would review the campaign and then they'd give it a 10 out of 10 and then the multiplayer would be terrible for the first month.
Yeah, it's kind of a good call. It's like adapting to the modernity of the industry, you know?
Yep. So I'm going to give you a quick run through of the bullet points on what make this game good. So from a bunch of outlets, it mixes well-known shooter mechanics in interesting ways. Expansive RPG story and lore creates a fascinating world. Combination of cover shooting, loot shooter, co-op, and superpowers create intense tactical combat. Caleb and I have a good time with that co-op.
Hell yeah.
Serious but also self-aware story strikes a good balance. See, I was hoping for that self-aware story coming from People Can Fly, who made this game, because Bulletstorm was from them, the Bulletstorm remaster, all that kind of stuff. They do a good job with that kind of dialogue.
I think they also made Gears of War Judgment too.
Yep.
If I'm not wrong.
Yeah, they did.
I'm that's the only thing about them that worries me, but then what doesn't worry me is that, yeah, they did the Bulletstorm remaster, which is phenomenal. So,
and the bad is easy for combat to get frustrating when cover and run and gun gameplay don't mesh well. I have seen that in some of the Reddit threads. Other people have responded with, oh, it's just getting used to the game, but those are the same kind of responses that people give when you like say you don't like Dark Souls. They're like, oh, you get better at it later. Like, we'll see. When Caleb and I play it, we'll let you know if if what they're talking about is true. And story and characters can sometimes get a bit edgelordish. See, that just sounds like hyperbole.
Yeah, I don't know what any of that means. So for this game, all I've heard about it, what I've heard about it from people who played it on like other podcasts and things is that the cover-based shooter aspect of it and the movement to cover and things is like Gears, if you're familiar with Gears. And then also I heard that 2 people who tried to play like between a Series X and a PC crossplay, they couldn't get it to work.
Yeah, it does have a lot of issues right now in terms of like permanent black screens, or it's your typical new multiplayer game that doesn't quite work.
Yeah, it's a game. It's one of those games where it's in Game Pass now, which is a big, selling point that we are mentioning now is that, yeah, it's in Game Pass day one, so that's sweet if you have Game Pass, but it's also one of those kind of games that I imagine if you wait a month or 2 to play, which it will still be in Game Pass at that point, it'll probably work way better. And you'll probably have a better time. But you can play it now if you want. But yeah, from what I heard, like 2 people who tried to get it to work between a Series X and a PC couldn't get it to actually work with crossplay. So like there are just issues, I imagine.
Yep. So if that's not your cup of tea, obviously, like we talked about last week, It Takes Two came out. So play that if you need something to play with your friends.
Yeah, I was going to say Jared and I are playing Saints Row the Third Remastered. We've almost finished the main campaign. We got to do the DLC shit. Then we're going to play It Takes Two, and we'll tell you what we think about that when we finish that. And then we're going to play Outriders, and eventually, if you keep listening, at some week, we will tell you what we think of Outriders and what the true review is of that game.
Yep. And now, moving into the X block, and also talking about things in Game Pass, master of the segue.
Hell yeah.
MLB The Show is coming to Game Pass day 1.
What a fucking bomb drop, dude. Like, holy, like, the Xbox swinging their fat dick around, dude. Like,
Sony
holy
still
shit.
found nowhere to comment. Still nothing to say about it.
So explain to everyone, like, the context, like the general context of the story. Or I can if you want, but I don't really care.
I got this
Okay,
one.
tell me how it is.
As a man who previously had a PlayStation 4, basically just to play exclusives and MLB The Show each year, I was sitting on my tree stump in my backyard,
As you do.
and I was gazing up at the stars.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, wow, this year I might not get MLB The Show because I just don't want to pay like 80 something dollars Canadian because they boosted their price in order to play this game. And I'm like, there's no way it's coming to Game Pass because it's owned and published by Sony. They own the copyright to the game and their developers made it. And I'm like, wow. I even texted Caleb. I said, well, there's 2 games that aren't going to be in Game Pass this year for sure, and that's Call of Duty and MLB The Show. And then literally the next day, Microsoft comes out and says, MLB The Show in Game Pass. And I sat there on my stump, and I was shocked, and I said, wow, maybe I will play this game now.
Yeah, you were like, thanks, God.
And then I also looked into it a little bit more, and I found out that the publisher on Xbox is actually MLB and not Sony.
Yep.
So this has raised a lot of questions because obviously Sony hasn't commented on it and neither is Microsoft in terms of how they got it. Their more thing was just, hey, we got it. So there's a lot of questions right now of obviously this is an MLB at least had some influence in this move because Sony just wouldn't have done it themselves. But lots of people are like, oh, well, Sony still does own the IP rights to the game as the show. They just don't own like the players that are in it. And what I'm assuming happened is that when Microsoft, like typically from what I've heard, I'm not 100% sure if this is right, so feel free to correct us, but I have heard that Microsoft, when they negotiate Game Pass deals, negotiates with the publisher of the game and that they're responsible for distributing the game for the platform that they're on. So I assume as MLB being the publisher of this game, Sony signed that deal that let them, I guess, autonomously be the publisher without Sony having any say for the game on other platforms. I assume they negotiated this deal with Xbox and then put it in Game Pass.
Yeah, I assume you're right. And I mentioned Richard Hogue before. I imagine I'm almost certain he's probably going to talk about this on his channel and educate all of us fucking layman idiots that we are what's actually most likely on. Like, seriously, dude, we need someone like a Richard Hogue in the industry, like actually knows what he's talking about and can explain shit that's maybe a little more nuanced that way. But yeah, I think you're right. Where it's like Sony San Diego makes the show, and then the license recently got to where it has to be cross-platform now for them to keep it. And so they have some sort of contractual agreements that we are not privy to, but apparently allow Sony's first-party studio behind their back publish, like the MLB publishing their game on Xbox can, like Jaren said, Microsoft pays them a lump sum, we assume, outright for some period of putting it on Game Pass. So now, if you're a PlayStation fan, you have to pay $70 for the show that you've had exclusive to your platform for a decade, however long, and it's $70. And if you want to buy it on Xbox, it's $60, or you can get Game Pass or Game Pass Ultimate, and then you play it in Game Pass for ostensibly for free. Not free, but, with the subscription. So, shout out to fucking Game Pass, dude.
Yeah, thanks, Sony.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. Shout out to the MLB, too. But and the MLB is really popular. Even if you guys out there don't play it, like, I'm not probably going to play it. I'm not really into baseball. It's a really big selling game every year, like, huge. Like, behind, it's like in the top 20, I think, behind, like, because NBA 2K is usually up there in FIFA. Yep. And MLB The Show is fucking going to be, especially now that it's going to be on Xbox this year, and even though it's in Game Pass, people are still going to buy it on Xbox. And it's probably going to be in the top 10 best-selling games this year. I wouldn't be surprised if it was. It may not be, but it's going to be really up there.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it's in the top selling games. A solid joke, too, is that I hate baseball, but I enjoy MLB The Show. And I don't hate baseball, and everyone's going to say, like, if the rare time that people comment, this will be the time they comment, they're like, oh, you just hate baseball because you don't watch baseball. Dude, I've been to 552 baseball games in my life, and nothing's more boring than a baseball game.
For those of you who do not know, Jaren worked for the Toronto Blue Jays and at their stadium, and he literally attended, like he said, 500 baseball games. And he's like, at this point, dude, I'm over it. And I'm like, Jared, I don't blame you, man.
But I do like playing MLB The Show. That game's fun.
Yeah, so there you go.
Exciting news.
Shout out to Xbox. Big win.
Yeah, big win.
If you're into that.
I guess if you're the fanboys, you can go out there and say, yay, we won, but please don't do that.
No, it's just kind of funny because it's crazy. Like, that's why it's like everyone saw this news, and any industry veteran or layman or that was unfamiliar or whatever was like, holy shit. Like, are you kidding me? Like, the show's coming to Game Pass? What the fuck? Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's true. It blindsided me, the master predictor.
Yeah, really, a day before, Jaren literally texted me, like, the 2 games we're not getting, man. The show and Call of Duty. And then he texted me, like, well, I guess just Call of Duty. I guess Activision is the only one who's too good for Game Pass.
And now we're going to hop on to another story where Sony doesn't look the best. We're just hammering it home this episode. Xbox saves games while Sony and Nintendo murder them. And by this, I mean Sony is closing all their digital storefronts on the PS3 and the Vita. That was all confirmed. And PSP. And Nintendo just puts games back in their vault. So you got Xbox out here bringing... Not only do they put all their games backwards compatible, they are now bringing the backwards compatible games to phones for the mobile version of Game Pass.
Yeah, it's been a really great Xbox's PR, like just the general, like, I don't know what you would say. The perspective people have on them or the view people have of them recently is like really gone up. Like they've had a lot of good PR. And this is just another one of those instances, I think, like they had that news with the gold where they like bumped the gold prices up and everybody was like, dude, what the fuck? And that was like one of the bad instances of Xbox doing something shitty, you know, that they usually haven't had recently. And they were like, oops, all right, people hate that, fuck, our bad. You can have games for free now, like who cares, whatever. All right, we're not increasing the price. And you're like, okay, cool. And they put party chat out, like you don't have to have gold to have Xbox party chat now. It's like, all right, sweet. Now, Nintendo was like, yeah, you can buy Super Mario 3D All-Stars until we put it back in the Disney vault. And you're like, wait, is it the year 2000? And they're like, nope, it's 2021, but you're on a Nintendo platform, so might as well be the year 2000. And you're like, cool, Nintendo. And then people, you might remember, I think we talked about this last week, Jaren, on the last podcast, the rumors that were not really confirmed that Sony was going to be closing down the PS3 storefront and the PSP storefront and the Vita storefront. And then they went out and confirmed it. And it's really shitty because not only did they not, Xbox is like, or 343 was like, hey guys, in December, they were like, hey guys, the 360 online services for the Halo 360 games are closing in a year. So, you guys get in there, do whatever you gotta do, but in a year, we're gonna close the 360 servers down for those games. Sony's like, dude, fucking 2-3 months, no more PS3 store at all. And you're like, what? Like, what? All right. So, I think the VGC did some data compilation, and then they're kind of estimates, but because there's some hoops and things they had to jump through. But once again, Video Games Chronicle doing the real fucking news out there. They're like, there's 2,200 games that will no longer be available, that will disappear. That I don't think you can purchase, at least on a Sony or PlayStation platform. Yep. Some of them you can buy on other platforms. 100 and something of them, I think they said, will like completely disappear, like because they were exclusive and like you can't purchase these games anywhere else. So Sony doing great work out there for game preservation, giving people plenty of time. Great PR. It's just awesome. Good job, Sony. And then Microsoft came out and they're like, well, we are going to put some backward compatible titles in our xCloud program. So you can cloud stream them on Android phones and if you have Game Pass Ultimate. And then today, somebody asked, like, Phil Spencer came out and said something about something. I don't remember what. I think it was the fridge thing. I don't fucking know. We'll talk about it later. But anyway, someone said iOS ? Or something, and then he said soon. So once again, just like the news we reported on, I think 2 weeks ago, Phil Spencer
doubling down on soon.
Yeah, soon is Xbox's official statement, but at least Phil said it this time, so we're getting somewhere.
Clearly not that soon.
Yeah, I know, right? But soon it's gonna be on iOS, and yeah, so they got some good PR, and it's really a weird thing, these companies in there. The Vault, fucking Nintendo Vault bullshit, and Sony closing their PS3 stores this way. It's just like, I don't know.
It's especially weird. Like, Nintendo has made their entire business model off selling their old titles, so they like get rid of them for a while and then bring them back. They never.
Yeah, they already closed. They already closed the Wii store. Like,
yeah, they never lose their titles. They just hide them and then bring them back. Sony's
as ports, as ROMs. By the way.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And Sony has made it seem they're very not for backwards compatibility. They put it in the PS3. Then they took it out. Then the PS3 was like somewhat backwards compatible to the PS4, I think, but nothing else.
You can stream on PS Now. You can stream PS3 games, and I don't know the state of PS1 games.
Okay, yeah, but you can stream them at 720p, and they are like in the worst like streaming nonsense. If you don't have fiber internet, you like basically can't play them.
Yeah, I think Jim Ryan, who's the head of Sony, or PlayStation rather, went out and said, like he said at a Gran Turismo event where they were showing off the new Gran Turismo game or some bullshit. He basically, someone asked him about an old Gran Turismo game. You guys can look up the story in the quote. I'm only paraphrasing because I don't remember the specific story, and I don't even care too much. It's just relevant for what we're talking about now. Anywho, someone asked him about some old Gran Turismo game or something at this Gran Turismo event, and he was like, "Why would you want to play that old game?" Or some shit. Like, where he's literally like, "Why would you want to play an old game or something?" Like, that's their view over there at Sony. Like, where they don't give a flying fuck. I think what the problem is they're, as a corporation, it's just not financially viable for them to actually take engineers and figure out a viable solution for backwards compatibility. And it's not worth them keeping up these storefronts literally on their back end to actually have relations with a bunch of developers and people and do all these purchasing, all these back end things you don't really think of. It's just not really financially viable for them. Whereas Microsoft, like I said, I don't even think Microsoft knows that they own Xbox. They have so much money and they're such a big corporation that they can literally just like, they actually can do this. And people are wondering, like, how are they going to do, is Sony going to come out in the summer then, or maybe, and do some sort of backwards compatibility solution for like PS3 and these things? And it's like, probably not, because Microsoft, for their emulation for 360 on the Xbox One, had to go to various publishers to actually be able to get these games backwards compatible on the Xbox One for like the 360 games. That's why they released them in bunches, is because they have a team dedicated going to talk and make deals with these publishers to actually get these games backwards compatible. I don't know if Sony will have some other solution or if that's even relevant to them, or I'm not business savvy enough to know how that works, but
Yeah, those 100 and something games that you said that were exclusive, Sony's going to come back with those with new achievements for money.
yeah, which, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
That's how that's going to work.
We kind of got into the weeds of this, or me particularly, but yeah, it's a really interesting news story that's kind of outside the box, but also relevant to Xbox, because I guess the news here for the Xbox is that your backwards compatible games are somewhat coming to the xCloud now, which is cool.
Yeah.
But it's within the context of all this other big news outside the box too. So yeah.
Yeah, if you essentially, we'll break it down real simple for you at the end here. If you want to play free new games, get an Xbox. If you want to play all of your old games, get an Xbox. If you want to play those games in the middle, they're probably in Game Pass, so you should get an Xbox.
I mean, you're 100% right.
There you go.
I mean,
boom.
If I get a PS5, I'm going to wait till that bitch drops $200 in price in like years from now, and wait till a lot of their first party lineup is out, the Sony first party lineup, and wait till those games are discounted on sales.
I'm going to wait for them to come to Steam.
Or that. That's not a bad strategy anymore either. Because Jim Ryan said they're going to keep doing that.
Moving on to the next story, the disappointment that is games with gold. Now, all of Xbox can't be sunshine and rainbows.
Nope.
I guess we got to make some sacrifices somewhere. And that's not me defending this, because I think
no,
this sucks. I'm just saying that there's always shit at one end of the rainbow.
Yeah, call it like it is. We're going to be honest with you here. So they had these good PR moves, besides that games with gold price hike, and everything bad about Xbox at this point is pretty much relegated to games with gold.
They wanted you to pay more for games with gold. And then I like when they like put out these videos that they're like, they have the audacity to say $129.96 in value. And then they show us like truck racing and Vikings, Wolves of Midgard, and Dark Void, and then they show their like full launch prices. What is this, hard?
So what is the news specifically?
These are the 4 games with gold that are coming out, that are for April. So you're getting Vikings, Wolves of Midgard, Truck Racing Championship, Dark Void, which is an old 360 game that's not very good, and Hard Corps Uprising, which was made by Konami, so you're never getting another one.
Yeah, fucking Christ, dude. That's a shit lineup.
So there you go. That's back-to-back months, I think, with a pretty lame lineup.
Clearly sacrifices are being made. Here's the thing, because I'm not defending this, but I will put it in context. You may be saying, wow, dude, the games with gold fucking sucks. And the answer is yes, it sucks. And they're like, well, they don't even care about games with gold anymore. And you're like, exactly.
Yeah, they don't.
They put shit in there because, like we said in multiple previous episodes, They're keeping Xbox Live Gold as a service because it has millions of subscribers and generates tens of millions of dollars every month based on the number of subscribers. So just flat out canceling it isn't very business savvy. What they want to do is push you to Game Pass or Game Pass Ultimate. And they tried to do that, bumping up the price, because they also don't give a fuck, but people hated that so much that they were like, God, fine, Jesus, okay. And then they actually made some, free-to-play games actually free-to-play without gold and included Party Chat without Xbox Live Gold. Anywho, the reason they're putting shit games in here is because they're just saving all their good games and all their good deals and putting them in Game Pass. So if you're saying, I have gold and gold sucks, it's like, yeah, it sucks, dude, you're right. And they know it sucks, and they're probably making it suck on purpose so that you'll leave and get Game Pass or Game Pass Ultimate.
Just look at April's games for Game Pass, not including extra games, just the 2 big ones, Outriders, MLB The Show, versus the 4 games that I just told you about.
Yeah, I think PS Now, or PlayStation Plus rather, this month, I think is getting like Days Gone and a few other way better games, like 100%, And
Yeah.
like, if you directly compare PS Plus to Xbox Live Gold, like, it's no contest at this point, like PS Plus for sure. But you can't really compare those in a vacuum because that's not really the point. Because the point is that they don't want you to get gold anymore. Gold isn't the serve. They want you to get Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, which is quote unquote gold, like online bullshit, whatever. And then with Xbox Game Pass. And if you haven't listened to Jared and I before, do not buy Game Pass Ultimate at full price. Do not do that. Wait for Black Friday, buy 4 3-month codes or however many you want that stack, and get it for like $90 a year instead of $180 US, okay?
Yep.
Don't go buy an Xbox Game Pass Ultimate full price. That's dumb. Don't do that. Find sales and other things.
If you're on a Sony platform and you decided to come over to Xbox now, honestly, you're used to spending a lot of money, so just buy it at full price, because if you would have stayed on the PlayStation and bought Outriders and MLB The Show at launch, you would have paid for an entire year of Game Pass.
It's such a good deal. But yeah, games with gold sucks. Xbox Live Gold kind of sucks right now. So if you want us to be honest about that, like, yeah, it really sucks. And you should probably just get Game Pass because that's what they want you to do, and they're going to shut down gold at some point anyway.
All right. Hopping on to the next story, we got more Game Pass news. So Caleb, do you want the good or the bad?
The good.
The good? All right, the good is somewhat good. Apparently directly from EA, coming to Game Pass on April 12th is NHL 21, and coming in May is FIFA 21. So apparently they are ahead of schedule in their normal release dates for these games, and they've decided to give them to us a little bit early. I guess maybe a tide over to keep us inside while they're trying to clean up COVID.
Hell yeah, dude. All right, so I'm not into these sports games. Are these coming through EA Play, by the way?
Yep, so they will be in Game Pass.
Game
through
Pass
EA
Ultimate,
Play.
right? Because do you get EA Play with Game Pass, or is it just with Game Pass Ultimate? I think it's just with Ultimate, right?
I think so, but I'm not 100% sure now that you actually mention it.
I think you just get EA Play as part of Game Pass Ultimate. If I'm right, then that would mean you don't get it with Game Pass, and you do get it with Game Pass Ultimate.
All right, well, if we're wrong, feel free to let us know in the comments, and we will definitely correct it next episode.
Yeah, and I'll try to look it up later and fucking remind myself next episode. But anywho.
Now for the bad news, Caleb. Another 3 games will leave Xbox Game Pass soon,
Oh.
April 15th. One of those games being Deliver Us to the Moon, which I believe did get Series X upgrades. So if you want to play that on your fancy Series X before it leaves on April 15th, you got to get on that. Also leaving Gato Roboto and War Groove. So nothing earth-shattering leaving, but just a few games that if you're looking for them, go play them before April 15th.
Yeah, and I saw on Twitter one of these guys. Did you mention Hyperdot? Did Hyperdot leave? Or
Yeah,
has that-
Hyperdot was in our last one for games that were leaving.
Okay, because I saw that guy mentioned on Twitter where he was like, dude, it being on Game Pass was fucking awesome. Like, apparently that guy was like, the game did great. It was a good deal for him. Everything worked out. I don't know to what end, but yeah, the guy who did Hyperdot was super hyped being on Game Pass.
Our next story, the spring sale is here.
Finally.
So it popped up on April 2nd. There are something like 600 games on sale. So if that's your thing, get in there. Probably anything you want is on sale.
Nope. Because I looked for Borderlands, because DLC's never always on
No,
sale.
DLC's not on sale.
I looked for Borderlands 3's Season 2, whatever bullshit, to be on sale. It's not.
Well, there you go. There's the one thing that you can't get. in the spring sale. I went looking for a couple things. Some of them just weren't on sale enough for me. Like Mafia's Definitive Edition, they keep wanting to charge like $39.99 or whatever it is here for that, but every time you go into an actual store, the game's $29.99. So I'm like, why would I buy the digital version when the physical one's cheaper?
Weird. Yeah, I usually look for DLC shit because I'm weird like that. And yeah, DLC's never on sale except like once a year during an add-on sale. And even then, maybe the DLC I want isn't. But for the spring sale, everything, almost every major game, every mainline fucking recent releases and other, everything's in there. A lot of games. Go check it out if you're wanting to save money on one of your favorite titles you've been waiting for.
Yeah, if you're frugal like us, go and check out the sale. And the last docket on the X Block, the most important news of the day.
I was gonna say
some
that.
would say. The fridge is actually coming. Because you guys won that Twitter war, whatever it was, for best brand against Skittles, Xbox is now going to manufacture the mini fridges for purchase. And they won't be hampered by computer chips not being available.
We don't even need you, The Rock, Dwayne, as I call you. We figured it out ourselves. And it was the best of tweets championship that Twitter was doing or something. I don't know. And there was a big poll. And it was between Xbox and Skittles. And Xbox, and then Aaron Greenberg and others tweeted out, you know what, fuck it. If you guys vote for us and we win this, we will do a line of Xbox mini fridges that we will, and everyone went, for real? And then it won by like 0.5%. Like it was like 50.5 to 49.5, and Xbox won. And we are so excited because for those of you who may not have listened to the relevant episodes, Jared and I 100% started this podcast so that someone would send us a fridge. We wanted an Xbox fridge. And then that came and went. And then the fucking meme came back, dude. Dwayne The Rock did his own line of mini fridges. And we were like, dude, send us one. Come on, man. And then he didn't. And then this fucking gods came in and was like, dude, we're gonna make some mini fridges coming out later this year. And Jared and I are like, fuck yeah, dude. We're going to get somebody to send us a mini fridge, dude.
No, dude, Caleb and I are going to split it and we'll send it back and forth like an adopted child.
I mean, we really, like, I got to get one of these, dude. If I have the money, by the time these actually enter, like, they start releasing, like, I got to get one. I really do.
And that is the end of the X Block. We talked about fridges, we talked about baseball, and we talked about Sony's all-around misfortune this month. I'd say that's a solid X Block right there.
That was a good one. Yeah, great news there, The fridge coming back, fucking MLB and Game Pass, crazy shit this week. It was a good one.
Yeah, and now this is going to be a quicker X Factor discussion just because we've got the Game Passer gameplay where we got to break down Dirt 5. That's coming up in a new slot. I've moved it to a new area of the podcast because I think it makes more sense. We'll explain it when we get there. But our X Factor discussion for this week, it's an easy one, Caleb. With the possible return of Alan Wake, what is a franchise that has kind of died out, whether it's on Sony or whether it's on Xbox, that's kind of the point of this, or whether it's on Nintendo. If you could grab an IP that one of these big companies is not using and bring it to everybody, like is happening with Alan Wake.
Two games I'm looking for. Okay. And this is one that everybody has asked for. And it's because the studio's gone now and they're not making it, but a Sleeping Dogs sequel. You played Sleeping Dogs, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Sleeping Dogs, great open world, almost kind of GTS-like game. Set with, it's not Yakuza, but is it Japanese, right? I don't want to be. I don't think I'm wrong. I think it's a Japanese game. Triad, exactly. So yeah, with the Triad, I was gonna say it's not the Yakuza. Yeah, so you're like playing as a Triad member, and it's like GTA and Yakuza shit, but not as crazy as Yakuza. Anyway, game's great. Go play it. Sleeper hit. The studio that was making that game got shut down because they got bogged down making some sort of multiplayer type shit game, and then I kind of ruined the studio. That I would want to have come back, that IP, because it's gone. And I wish somebody would take it up and make another one. And it's kind of a game that like bridges the gap between Yakuza and GTA, in my opinion. So if you don't want quite the zaniness and craziness of Yakuza, but you don't want quite the realism and like, I don't know, real lifeness of GTA, then that's Sleeping Dogs. And then another one that's just a quick
set, Caleb.
What's up?
I was just doing a little minor correction on you. The
Yeah.
game's set in Hong Kong.
Hong Kong. Okay, so it's not Japanese.
That's why it's the Triad and not the Yakuza.
Okay, well, cool. Hong Kong then. I wasn't quite sure where it was. It was a while. I got all the achievements in that game, but that was like at least 6 years ago, I think. So, but yeah, super fun. Anyway, that and then like one of the old like rare classics, like a Conker's Bad Fur Day. You remember Conker's Bad Fur Day?
I remember that. Those are a bit in a rare replay.
Yeah, they're in rare replay, but like I want a Conker's Bad that IP is not being used.
You
I want
like a Ratchet
sequel.
and Clank one, like
Yes,
level kind
exactly.
of.
I want like a Ratchet and Clank style Conker's Bad Fur Day, and I want it to be as crude and fucking crazy as the original.
Yeah, that's fair. Those are two good ones.
Yeah, so if you're looking for my answer, yeah, Sleeping Dogs, which is, a lot of people's kind of. Maybe Spec Ops The Line, but that game's kind of sits on its own. Like, that stands on its own as a game, so we don't really need that IP to come back in any way.
2K still has the rights to that, so they could make it, technically.
Yeah, so that's true. And then, but yeah, we got Perfect Dark, a rare game, coming back. I want the one that would sell way less units, Conker's Bad Fur Day.
Good old Conker's Bad Fur Day.
Game's fucking rad.
So for me, what I was thinking was, we got Ratchet and Clank, right? That's coming back.
We did. They got a movie.
We got Crash.
Game, sequel. Yep.
I want Jak and Daxter back.
Okay, yeah, see, that's another one. A lot of people looking for a Jak and Daxter comeback, but is, not going to happen, unfortunately, I don't think.
I think Sony could, hand it off to another studio if they got, another studio that was, kind of like what Insomniac is doing. Is it Insomniac that's making Ratchet and Clank? Yeah, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so if they could get them, or if they could get a studio like that to just work on a Jak and Daxter kind of comeback game, I feel like those two characters, Jak and Daxter, were better than Ratchet and Clank, but that's just my own personal opinion, I guess.
Yeah, I probably played more Ratchet and Clank, but I played some Jak and Daxter, but man, it was a long time ago. Like when those games came out, like I was young when I played those.
Yeah, I'd love to see that as a multi-plat going across all the everything just out there for everybody to play. That'd be a cool thing if just the studio somehow it obviously they can't get away from PlayStation because
No.
Naughty Dog made it. So they're not going anywhere.
With something like the Spyro Reignited trilogy, which maybe we'll get a Spyro sequel, and the Crash Bandicoot's back, and they got a sequel, and the Ratchet and Clank's back, it's like, maybe? I doubt it, but it's Conker's Bad Fur Day, too niche. Like, never, you're never seeing that fucking IP ever again. It's never happening. But Jak and Daxter, I don't know, it's not likely. But it's possible. But it would never be, I don't think it would be multiplat.
And my second Pie in the Sky one that I just thought of right now, classic horror game from, I think it was either the PS2 or early PS3, but I think it was PS2. And I'm pretty sure I grabbed it from Blockbuster. Area 51.
Okay, I have no idea what that game is. That's fucking way off my radar.
That's a shot in the dark, way in the past. Feel free to go check that out, guys. I don't even know if it's good anymore. I just remember it being great when I was a kid.
What is this game? Like, what is it? Are you third person, running around Area 51, getting stalked by an alien? Like, what's going on?
Caleb, I have no idea. I only remember the feelings that it gave me. Okay?
Listen, I know what you're talking about. I know what you're saying. I got games like that where Brink is almost one of those games I talked about on this show.
Hatred,
I'm like, I
feelings of
barely
hatred.
remember it. Area 51.
Yeah, those are our two. Those are our two. Caleb's got Conker and Sleeping Dogs, both solid picks. I put not Ratchet and Clank, Jak and Daxter out there because I feel like that's one everybody wanted. And then I said, you know what? I'm gonna give one that nobody's thought of.
Area 51, dude. In fucking 3 years, someone's gonna listen to this episode, and then you're gonna get a DM on Twitter. It's gonna be like, oh, Area 51, and you're gonna be like, oh my god.
Dude, how hard is your mind going to be blown, Caleb, when THQ Nordic announces that they're making the Area 51 game because they got the rights 3 years ago?
Fucking Embracer Group and all those assholes over there making every goddamn game that's ever been released. Yeah, you make it an Area 51 remake yet, dude. Or a remaster.
All right, that's the end of our quick X Factor discussion today. We're going to try to keep it a little quicker when we've got Game Pass or gameplay to cover. And that's what's coming up next. And the reason I've moved it to before the FAF is simply because you guys can tell me if you like this or not, but I honestly think that the FAF is a better way to end the show than us going through all this goofy news and then going back into something where we kind of got to review a game or give you a quick talk about something that is coming up in 4 episodes from now. I think it's better just to go FAF and then end.
Yeah, I mean, I'm down with it. I don't care too much. Everything's still there. So.
Yep. So quick summarization of Game Pass or gameplay. Once a month, the first episode of the month, we spin a wheel of all the games that are in Game Pass, and a game is ejected out like a bullet of love. And Caleb and I sit here and envelop that bullet, and then we sit down and we play the game that is given to us. And it has to be a game from Game Pass or EA Play. I consider them as one thing. I do have games taken out, like not every single FIFA game is there. Once FIFA 21 is added, it will replace FIFA 20 because I only have one of each game. And I have taken out games that we have each either independently finished or have both played.
Yeah, and I was gonna say I wasn't. Your metaphor there at the end almost kind of lost me, but I'm still on board, and I'm very excited because Darren, our previous game that we spun in the beginning of March, well, our game from February I think was Donut County, right?
Yeah.
And then for March it was Dirt 5, and so
Yeah.
now we're gonna tell you whether to Game Pass or gameplay on Dirt 5. Spin the wheel again. And we are, by reviewing a game, we play it for like at least 5 hours or beat it, depending on how much we like the game. And yeah, Jaren, why don't you tell me your experience?
I want you to go
about Dirt
first
5.
because you've played less.
No, I want you to go first because I want to hear what you have to say about it. Because it may make me think about it differently. Because
Okay.
you gave us a primer like a week ago. Or no, 2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks
2
ago.
weeks? 3 weeks?
2
You
weeks
gave us
ago.
a primer about your impressions. And I've been deathly curious to hear what you had to say ever since. And I want to see if what you have to say makes me think about what I have to say differently or if I kind of think about things the same.
All right, that's fair. I will give you a quick recap of how much I have played Dirt 5. I had all the achievements until they added DLC, thanks to Caleb installing the
Shut
game
up.
and making them give us DLC because that's
Shut
the
up.
Caleb luck. So I had all the achievements up till then. It wasn't that hard to get them all. I have completed every single race because that's one of the achievements in the game, and I still think it's a pass.
Okay, and why do you think it's a Game Pass?
I think you should pass on this game and not play it because having played the game, first off, it is an ugly game. Like it doesn't look like terrible. If you play it at 120 frames per second, it doesn't look great.
Okay.
Obviously, it runs better, but there's just, like, for a game that is confined to a racetrack, it's not even an open world racing game like Forza or some Need for Speed games. It's confined to a racing track, and a lot of the races are the same. There are some standouts, which we'll get to in a sec, but most of the races are the same. A lot of the car effects aren't really there. The game is super easy, except for one race type, which is fucking impossible. We'll also
Yep.
get to that in a sec.
Yep.
And then the rest of the game is just kind of by the numbers racing game. There's like a couple cool elements, which there's one where people are very divided on it. They either hate it or they like it. That's not the one that I said was terrible. And there's just like all the little attentions to detail that make a racing game a good racing game just aren't there. This game is dramatically benefited like in short bursts if you play it in the cockpit mode where you're like in the car actually driving it. The game feels much more like there's much more oomph and the cars feel different and all that kind of stuff. But if you're in the third person view, there's really never any challenge to the game for the most part. All the cars feel relatively the same. Bumping into people doesn't really do anything. All of the build up to the events is kind of just not that interesting. The story's not terrible. Like I like that it had a story. We're going to dive into the nitty gritty here. That's kind of like my overall summary of things that I didn't really like that much about the game. Now we're going to get into the things that I really liked and the things that I really didn't like. So start off what I really liked. There's a game mode called Pathfinder where you kind of just drive up this like mountainous terrain and it adds a different level to a racing game that I haven't seen before. I know there are games that are specifically just that, but in terms of a big racing game, it's like a interesting thing where you drive around. It's like a time trial. It's really not hard. You never fail it if you're relatively decent at the game. Then there's the sprint racing, which, my God, is this possibly the worst form of racing ever put in a video game? If you had to win every single race in this game, it would be almost impossible until you figure out the finely tuned like movement. Thank God you only just have to finish the race. And there's only about, I think, 6 actual sprint races in the entire game, and none of them are main events, which you got to be thankful for, Caleb, because you usually have to win the main events.
Yeah.
But yeah, none of those are main events, so don't worry about that. That game mode is just trash. Like that's the worst thing I've ever played in a racing game.
Yeah. I could go ahead and tell you what I have to say if you're curious, or I can let you keep going.
Yeah, I'll finish up. I've got one more thing. The ice races. Some people hate those, some people like them. I enjoyed the drifting in that. That was one of the things that felt unique to me.
Okay.
I enjoyed when it got all snowy and stuff, especially in first person in the driving seat. I really liked when it got like all snowy and like it made the races at least feel different, because by that point in the game I had played like almost everything and I had experienced most of the story, and there's all this like trash talking kind of like banter between Troy Baker and I think it's Nolan North.
Yeah, I don't know who the voice actors are.
Yeah, it's just the biggest issue that it has going for it, and why I'm ultimately giving it a pass, is I feel like this game is a 6.5 to like a 6 out of 10, and Game Pass is filled with racing games that are 8s or above, and even 10s if you're like for Forza Horizon 4. So unless you've played all of those games and you're really looking for a racing game, then by all means play this game. It's not terrible. It's playable. But if you're deciding between this and Horizon, it's not even a contest. So I would say pass this and play Horizon. That's why I'm giving it a pass.
Yeah, I actually echo a lot of your views. I think I don't want to spend too much more time on this because we also got to move on to the FAF, but I am going to say a bit about it. Dirt 5, I was pretty hot on it going in because I thought from the trailers it looked great, and I didn't really know what to expect. It's very stylized, like it's very like I don't know. It has these weird customization options that are about like getting sponsors and ranking up with your sponsors to get a new basically theme for just your name plate that pops up at the end of races if you won or lost, whatever, and like a lanyard that you can hang over that, and like stickers you can put on it. And I frankly don't give a fuck about any of that, so I had no reason to like even really worry about the sponsors or any of that shit. You can earn money. I don't know how much Jaron mentioned all this as much, but yeah, you can earn money in the game to buy new cars. Like Jaron said, the cars all feel the same. They have ratings like, I think it's like D through S, D, C, B, A, S rank and shit and there's 2 categories, performance and handling. And like I said, if it doesn't matter, really, I couldn't notice.
Yeah. And you're never low on money, so like,
no,
there's never a reason not to buy the S version of the car.
First, you can buy it from like the beginning. You just save your money, just buy the S in every category. And yeah, you can go into your difficulty settings like I did, and I turned the drivers to very easy because I don't care about being neck and neck, and there's achievements tied to like winning every race, and there's no difficulty achievements. But in terms of my handling, because you can change the difficulty of the drivers that you're playing against, but you can also change your handling. My handling I kept on intermediate for most of the whole game. I haven't finished it yet. I'm at 70-something% of the way through the game, roughly, according to my achievement tracker, and so I'm almost done, and I've played a lot of the game, and I feel like I played it forever, so this last part's gonna drag a bit. But I feel a lot of the same things that Jaron felt. The ice drifting, or the ice maps are sort of my favorite ones. I think the game looks a little bit better, maybe, than you gave it credit for. I fucked with my HDR settings for my TV and everything, and I really got it down to where I actually think the game looks pretty good, but it almost doesn't matter. Because what I immediately noticed is that on my brand new, Series X unit that's supposed to be able to load all this shit and be really powerful and all this, dude, that game renders stuff in front of you still. Did you notice that?
Yeah, the textures and everything are like not great either. There's also no effects on the ground, so when you drive, your tires don't show up in the mud. You don't show up in the snow. There's just like none of those little touches that you would expect from an arena, basically, racing game where you're stuck in where you're racing. Like, it's not open world. There should be no technical challenges.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm driving forward like on a track, and maybe 35, 40 feet ahead of me, I can see like, those triangular flags that like are hanging off a rope that kind of go across like racetracks and things. I'll see that spawn in. And then I'll see like puddles spawn in on the track ahead of me, like render in. And I'll see the dirt or the grass patches render in. And I'm like, what the fuck is this, dude? Like, how are you rendering this in front of me on this fucking... And it's, I didn't know about this game going in. I never played a dirt game. I thought it would be like you drive to different areas, like a Forza Horizon game. And it's, like Jaron says, it's just a menu-based, like, circuit race. Everything's on a circuit. And the Pathfinder missions Jaron was talking about, where you climb over the mountains, I found them tedious and annoying, because I feel like you bounce everywhere. I didn't like those as much. They're unique. I'll give you that, where, like, I haven't experienced something like that in a racing game, but I often go, like, on trips with my dad and things, like riding ATVs in the mountains in, like, Arkansas and other places, and it reminded me of that, but in a way less fun way, and, like, really bouncy, and it's unique, but I didn't find it enjoyable. Getting adrift just right in that game feels great.
It does, yep.
But yeah, there's this one mode Jaren mentioned where you have to like get a score multiplier up to like, and that's like how you get 3 stars is you get like 21,000 points in this like area where you're supposed to do a bunch of tricks. And the way to do it is you just like do a donut around a pole, and then you do that till you get a 2 times multiplier, and then you go to this area where you're supposed to literally just spin in a circle for the next minute, and that's how you get the max points. And it's so dumb, and I hate it. But yeah, I expected this game to be a bit better in terms. I don't know, just from like all the previews leading up to like it being kind of a Series X, a game that takes advantage of the Series X, and I've been kind of disappointed. And a lot of, like Jaren said, a lot of the laps repeat, a lot of the tracks repeat. It's really not as fun. It's very repetitive. If you're into, yeah, like Jaren said, if you're really looking for a racing game and you've played every Horizon game, and you are fine with a game that's worse, then play Dirt. But I was a little let down. I think Metacritic gave this game, this says the game has a 79% on Metacritic, and IGN gave it an 8 out of 10. I would be more with like a 7 out of 10, honestly.
The one thing I am going to say is this game is extremely tedious if you go for all the achievements. I imagine if you play it like a reviewer did, where you just play like until you don't have to play the other things, because you don't have to play like half of those events. You can just go straight through until you get to the end and follow the story. So then stuff might not seem as tedious.
Yeah, so if you don't go off for all the achievements, it may be better for you. But since we're on Game Pass or Gameplay, I'm pretty sure Forza Horizon 4 is in Game Pass.
Yeah.
And so if you haven't played Forza Horizon 4, you should play Forza Horizon 4, and you should Game Pass on this. If you really are fucking nutting for a racing game right now, man, then maybe you should gameplay it. But I think overall, the X-Block, surprisingly, some would say, gives this game a Game Pass.
Yep. Yeah, we give it a Game Pass. And if you are going to play it, I'd say pass on the 120 frames, even if your TV can do it, because the game looks so dramatically worse and running at 60 on a racing game where you're playing by yourself is totally acceptable.
I thought like some of it like looks pretty good, but a lot of it, I see what you're saying, where it's actually like it looks good in a way that like something that doesn't look great looks great, which is a weird thing to say. But Jaren's played like Watch Dogs, Legions, and these other games, where apparently those games look way better, and they're not racing games. The
best thing I could say is it looks great when you're driving and you're very focused on your driving. The thing is, you don't have to pay any attention to your driving after the first lap because you're already in first by 10 seconds. And then you start looking around the world going, man, this really doesn't look great.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. You start paying attention very deeply and you notice the flaws.
And Caleb played on very easy, which obviously he just wants to get through the game. I played on hard. So if you want to say this game is only easy because we played it on easy, I played it on hard and I turned all the assists down to minimal. And I still won every race by almost 15 seconds.
Yeah, I'm not even bad at racing games at this point. I have all the achievements. Almost all the achievements in Forza Horizon 2. I'm just missing the Porsche DLC because it's unobtainable now. Forza Horizon 3, I'm missing like 4 or like 5 achievements, and Forza Horizon 4, I'm missing like 5 achievements. So, and that's fucking hundreds of hours of racing. So I know I was just wanted to play the game, honestly.
All right. Now that we've given you our final review, which in case you somehow missed it, it's a Game Pass. That means pass on this game. Go play something else. How about you gameplay Forza Horizon and you Game Pass on Dirt 5?
Amen.
Now for the wheel. We're going to spin this wheel and we're going to find out what we're playing in April.
Spin that wheel.
Oh my God. Yeah, baby. Yeah.
All right, Caleb. Woo.
That was crazy.
We got our first interesting one.
Oh, you can see the result. What is it?
Yep. It is this interesting game I've been looking into over the past couple months, and it's called Spiritfarer.
The fuck is that?
Essentially, from what I saw, I didn't look too much into it because I thought it was a game I might want to play one day. But there's a boat, and I think you're the guy that ferries the spirits up into heaven.
Okay, I just looked up some images of this game, and it doesn't look atrocious.
It's supposed to be really good, actually.
Okay, so we lucked out. Nice. It's not Yakuza. What are you laughing at?
Just a little quick thing. I pressed the button again to spin the wheel. This is just an extra one, but it popped up on Dragon Quest. So thank God we got Spiritfarer.
Nope. That doesn't count for next month either. We're doing that when it happens. No. Okay. Spiritfarer. I'm all on board.
April's game, Spiritfarer. If you want to hear our thoughts on that, be sure to come by at the end of April when we pick a new game.
Get hype for our impressions of Spiritfarer in the first week that we release an episode in May.
In May. In normal traditions, I'll be done by the end of the week, and Caleb will be halfway through it at the start of May.
I'll be installing it on that episode, and I'll tell you my review at the end.
And that finishes up Game Pass or Gameplay. We are now going to hop into the FAF. Now, Caleb, as you know, the FAF is where we put all the news that is kind of what we deem a waste of time, and we're here to save you from faffing about reading these news stories, so we're just going to tell them to you.
And you know, you and I are a little guilty of spending a little too much, mainly me, probably, spending too much time on the FAF in recent episodes. This is
That's
shit
very
no one
true.
cares about. You know, we should probably just get it out of the way, honestly. It's for those of you dummies who is like,
Wait a minute. You didn't put my news in outside the box. You didn't put my news in the X block.
well, here's your fucking news, all right? No one cared about your news, all right? And it's in the FAF now, so you're welcome.
Alrighty. Caleb, what is the first segment called?
Sony and Microsoft FAF fight.
All right. So essentially, this was just the quick news from the week, and I just wanted to double down and talk about this because I just wanted to drive it home and make sure that we confirmed it. Sony confirms it will close the PlayStation Store on PS3, Vita, and PSP this summer. I just wanted to dunk on them one more time. At
Jesus
the same
Christ.
time as this is happening, Microsoft sells 3 Bethesda's worth of Minecraft goggles to the US military.
Oh yeah, the HoloLens shit.
Yep.
Yeah.
So Sony's entire revenue for 2020 was something in the likes of $7 billion to $8 billion. Microsoft sold HoloLens 120,000 headsets to the US military for $22 billion.
Yeah, so when people were like, "Is Microsoft gonna do some, you know, some VR shit?" and how's Sony's PSVR gonna like? Dude, Microsoft does not care. They're selling Hololens units to the military, like, and they're making $21 billion. Like, that's what they're into.
That's 1/4 of Sony's overall worth.
Pretty much. I don't have the numbers on me, but I trust Jaren. So
In less positive, I don't know if this is less positive or it's just kind of weird Xbox news. Xbox announces new headphones that cost as much as the Xbox Series X.
no.
They announced white, blue, and black headphones that are supposed to be like very fancy with like sophisticated aesthetic and can be used in any situation. Essentially, these are just really expensive headphones, and if they were truly for gamers, they wouldn't be wireless.
The X Block here, I can't speak exactly for Jaren, even though he uses them, but the X Block is a Astro A40, Astro A50 household. Okay, all my homies have Astro A40s. Okay,
Yeah, I have them too for now.
you can use whatever you want. Honestly, I don't care, but the homies use Astro A40s.
All right, Caleb, hit us with the next one.
Marvel at these stats.
All right. Now, Marvel Avengers is back in the news. Caleb, are you excited?
No.
In just a few hours, Outriders has already tripled Avengers' peak Steam player count.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
All right,
Okay.
that's it. It was just a shot at Avengers. You can move on.
Oh, and Outriders did it without the Avengers IP.
Yeah, a new IP.
There you go.
All right, Caleb, what's next?
The duty department.
Warzone and Modern Warfare file sizes will be cut significantly following a 50 gigabyte update.
No. Can I tell you about this news, Jaren? Can I tell you?
Yeah, sure. Tell me quick.
Okay, we're going to go on a little tangent. It's not going to be too long, but I got to mention it. A couple of friends and I, me, my friend Austin, my friend Juwan, we play Call of Duty Modern Warfare multiplayer every couple days usually, just as a way to hang out and have a good time. And it's an easy game that I fucking just play search and destroy, whatever. Anyway, they announced this update, right? It's a Season 2 Warzone bullshit. We don't play Warzone. We play multiplayer. But anyway, Warzone mid-season update. We downloaded it, loaded the game up, and it said, due to some optimization that made its shit smaller, you may have to re-download some of your shit. And it was like, okay. And so we went to multiplayer, and it says, like, you're missing data packs. And we're like, what? And so we went to the data packs list, and it would, like, at first, it wouldn't let us install whatever data pack we were like data pack 2, which it uninstalled and said we couldn't reinstall. And so it was like, okay, great. Turned out it was an issue with the Microsoft Store that happened to be going on at that time. Fixed the store. Downloaded data packs, had to download data pack again, which is like 20-something gigabytes, literally. Loaded the game back up, dude, still couldn't play it. And we're like, what the fuck? I don't know if it's a new data pack, but there's another data pack that says multiplayer and special ops, or spec ops data pack, which there's just a multiplayer pack and there's a spec ops pack singularly, but there's also one that's multiplayer and spec ops pack. You have to download that one to be able to play the multiplayer too. So then we had to download that, and then we could play the multiplayer, and then, Jaren, We were playing the multiplayer search and destroy. We started loading into the vacant map, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it kicked us out of the main menu. It said dev error, vacant, something available, whatever. Went back in multiplayer, loaded up again, put us into the map, the same game maybe, vacant, kicked us back to the main menu. We're like, all right, fuck God. And then we loaded back up again, and it put us in a map. I think it was Kill House or Hard Hat or some shit. Dev error, can't play, whatever the fuck. And we're just fuck it. We just turned it off that night, dude. That's a tangent, but fuck you, Call of Duty. You can eat my fucking ass. I hate you.
This is why they're called the duty department. Continuing in the duty department, Black Ops Cold War's mid-season update launch times and patch notes released. So if you care about that, they fixed some guns. They probably made the gun you like less good, and they probably made guns that you didn't like better. So
the patch notes are we fucked you again.
Well, this is for Cold War.
I don't care. It's Call of Duty. They fucked you. That's what happened. Activision hates you.
More duty department news. Call of Duty Warzone gets surprise changes. Modern Warfare gets new maps.
Yeah, the one... I don't care anymore. I don't care. I don't care.
So they added a new 6v6 map to Modern Warfare for Caleb to play, and they brought back Kill House.
We played Kill House because we couldn't play Search. So we went into the Kill House 24/7 map thing. Got put into a hardcore or a headquarters game, and it's just a bunch of dudes in an open fucking room going up on a thing, sniping you infinitely. That's it, and spawn killing you. That's it. Have fun.
For some reason, they added some kind of kill streaks to Warzone that apparently people are saying are really powerful. So there you go.
It's a kill streak that I think shows everyone's location on the map in the game. I'm serious.
All right. And also in the duty department, Warzone invisible player glitch pops up again.
Dude, does anyone need more evidence that Call of Duty sucks ass at this point? And I'm part of the problem because I keep playing it.
Hit us with the next one, Caleb.
Cyberpunk fixed. I don't believe you. Cyberpunk fixed.
Cyberpunk 2077 patch 1.2 is out, and it makes 500 improvements to graphics, stability, and more. Hey, Caleb, what's the next topic called?
Cyberpunk fucked.
Cyberpunk 2077 patch 1.2 seemingly introduces a host of new bugs.
Yeah, I think one of them is where you fall through the fucking floor, right? I think IGN did an article. Somebody did an article about it. I don't know.
Yep, the entire map is now in a sandstorm permanently in some people's saves.
That's kind of awesome. That's actually kind of cool.
So that happened. That person actually was a big fan of that.
I was going to say, that's just a new mode.
They fixed graphical issues and broke the rest of their game.
Great.
All right, Caleb, hit me with the next one.
Fortnite news. I don't know. That one's pretty vanilla in terms of the FAF topic names.
Yeah, it is. You want to know why?
Why?
Now I can use Fortnite in the tags of this podcast. I don't have any Fortnite news. Next one.
Fucking got him, Jared. Fucking idiots. You're here for Fortnite news? Get fucked.
There is some, but I'm not going to tell it to you. Next one, Caleb.
BioWare, pillows and pullouts.
Anthem director Jonathan Warner departs BioWare after nearly 10 years.
Didn't we talk about BioWare like a week or two ago?
Yep, the Anthem game director has now pulled out of BioWare. He's going somewhere else. I don't think they need him anymore. I know he's been there for 10 years, but I don't know what he was doing before they gave him Anthem. Hopefully he was the janitor.
Yeah, everyone's gone now. We talked about the Wizards of the Coast a week or two ago and how they're making a way better game, and BioWare's not even BioWare anymore. Like, they have the name BioWare, but dude, no one is at BioWare who was relevant working on the other your most beloved BioWare games at this point. I mean, there are some, but like nobody.
In other BioWare news, BioWare is finally selling Garrus body pillows on the Mass Effect store.
Well, fucking, do they have dick holes that you can put in the pillows, Jared?
Yeah, right where his mouth is.
Okay, good. All right, so I'll buy one for unrelated reason.
All right, next one, Caleb.
You like sports? Me like sports. Was that supposed to say we?
No, I changed it this week.
I fucking hate you.
EA confirms next-gen PGA Tour golf game powered by Frostbite. You thought 2K getting Tiger Woods was a big deal? Well, EA got nobody, but they're calling it PGA Tour.
Yep, that's a new golf game.
In other sports news, EA's dodgeball-inspired multiplayer game, Knockout City, gets an open beta very soon. I'm just going to say, saw that game, looked kind of cool. Moving on.
I was going to say, I haven't even seen that game or heard of it, but a dodgeball game just sounds like a good time. So
yeah, look it up. It's like some multiplayer, like Call of Duty, like 6v6 kind of dodgeball game.
Hell yeah. All right.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool.
Sweet.
Next one, Caleb.
See? sky, and space.
Shark RPG Maneater goes even deeper in upcoming Truth Quest DLC.
Okay.
Guess what? The 2020 Game of the Year is getting DLC this summer, so get ready.
I'll just throw it out that True Achievements for 2020, before we started this podcast, put out a poll, like they do at the end of every year, where they're like, you vote on your favorite, like your game of the year, And Jaren literally voted for Maneater. I mean, to be fair, I voted for Star Wars fucking Episode 1 Racer, that they put out. But Jaren literally did vote Maneater as his game of the year. So.
And my second game of the year in the next story. Thankfully, the boat is still stuck in Microsoft Flight Simulator. So remember that boat that got stuck in the Suez Canal? Somebody put it into Microsoft Flight Simulator blocking the canal. And it's still there to remind us of all the good times we had of watching that boat be stuck.
Thank God,
And in the space category, Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga delayed again. Oh no. Oh no.
No, that game's probably going to be pretty fun.
Yeah, dude, you get to relive The Last Jedi.
It's probably going to be... The game will probably be better than The Last Jedi.
All right,
Has
Caleb,
to be.
hit us with the final topic.
The gems.
All right, now here's the gems of the FAF. It Takes Two directors, fuck the Oscars rant is hidden in the game as an Easter egg.
Yes, I saw this. You get your telescope and this like the sky segment, and if you point your telescope in the right place or some shit, you hear the rant.
That's amazing. All right, second last story of the FAF. Police bust world's biggest games cheat business. Seize $50 million.
Yeah, dude, that's crazy. What was going on with them again?
Chinese police have busted what claimed to be the world's biggest video game cheat business. The gang involved reportedly designed and sold cheats for popular online games, including Overwatch, Call of Duty Mobile. And according to authorities, the group roughly made $76 million American
Jesus.
via subscription fees charged to clients. They
We are
also
in the wrong
seized
business.
a bunch of luxury cars. And apparently this operation was called Chicken Drumstick for some reason.
Yeah, I can't think of why, but yeah, that's if they made that much money, why didn't they just like cash out?
I don't know. And the last story, man arrested following daring Pokemon card robbery.
Okay.
A 28-year-old Tokyo resident has been arrested for allegedly breaking into a trading card shop atop a 6-story building to steal Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh cards after climbing over the side of the building with a rope.
Was he planning to sell them or keep them?
I don't know how to say his name. I'm just going to call him Mr. N.
Okay, Mr. N.
Mr. N is accused of stealing around 80 cards from Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! Worth $9,120 and another $2,370 in cash. The suspect has confessed, saying he did it to pay off a debt. And the only reason I put this in here was because I love this guy's quote after climbing a 6-story building. He said, "I was in rock climbing in high school, so I wasn't afraid of heights."
Well, he's gonna be fucking afraid of being in prison, dude. I'm gonna go in to find his jail cell and like fucking slide. We're gonna trade cards through the bars, dude.
Dude, you kidding me? That guy is climbing out of prison.
Yeah, he's gonna make the great escape. Yeah.
And that is the end of the FAF, and thus brings us to the end of the episode. We were quicker today, but in typical us fashion, we never mentioned where you can find us.
Great. We'll do it right now, though.
You can find us on Twitter at XBlockPodcast. You can find us on Instagram at XBlockPodcast. You can find us on TikTok, where I spend lots of time making TikTok videos that one guy commented, "This is funny." So if you agree with him, maybe you should check him out.
Hell yeah.
On YouTube, we are the XBlock Podcast. You can go find that. It'll pop up. Recently, lots of people have been watching there, so feel free to comment there and tell us what you'd like to see. Maybe in the X Factor, we can answer your questions. We're available on pretty much most popular podcasting places. We're on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcast, and Caleb said Overcast because 3% of our listeners are there. And then we're on Castbox, but nobody really listens there yet. And an important thing that we never mention, if you listen to this podcast, please go tell your friends who also like this kind of content, because the only way we can spread is word of mouth. The positive reviews on Apple and Google also extremely help us out, but word of mouth helps us out also.
Yes, Jaren's right. We really appreciate if you leave us like a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or a good review wherever you can, wherever you listen. And yeah, we make the algorithm helps us out. However, like we get maybe a normal base amount of increase every week. But really, if you have any friends into gaming news, Xbox particularly, share the podcast with them. Let them know, like, hey, there's these boys, and these boys are making the X Block podcast. And dude, friendo, it's pretty hype, man. It's pretty chill. And that's how the kids talk to each other, and that's how I want you to talk to your friends and tell them about us, all right?
And lastly, if for some strange reason you want to support us, you can find us on Patreon.
I think it's patreon.com/xblockpodcast.
There you go.
And you can, we have no tiers or anything, but we would really appreciate if you want to give us any extra money you have, and we can get Jaren a new computer to edit this podcast. And I say that every week, but I'm 100% fucking serious.
We have coined the phrase, the only tiers on our Patreon are Jaren's while he edits the podcast on his current laptop.
Those are the only tiers.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the X Block Podcast, solid episode 6. I thought we had a pretty good show.
Yeah.
And obviously I'm looking forward to playing Spiritfarer. So
Yeah, I gotta finish Dirt 5 still.
Caleb's got to finish Dirt 5, then he's going to hop on the game for this month.
Yeah, sure.
But in the meantime, thanks again for listening. Take us away, Caleb.
X Block out.
Thanks for listening to the X Block. New episodes every Monday at 5 a.m.